Hello and happy Thanksgiving. This is Samantha Sunderworth from Maggie Z Photography with your fifth episode of our professional profile. With engagement season fastly approaching, I wanted to go to my favorite jewelry store so they could give you guys some helpful tips on shopping for engagement rings as well as jewelry and accessories for your wedding. I hope you enjoy it. I am here with Seth and Laura from Provident Jewelry, and we are here to talk about some jewelry and some diamonds with engagement season coming up. First of all, Seth, for those of you who've never been to the downtown store on Clematis Street, it's the first established location of 6 stores around the state. Can you give everyone a little more history on the store, what locations you have, how it got started?
Sure. We started basically as a mom and pop store about 21 years ago. It was on Clematis Street. We then probably opened our second store on Fifth Ave in Naples in, I believe, 1999. Shortly after that, in 2005, we opened up in, 2007 rather, we opened up in the Jupiter location. Shortly after that, in 2008, Fort Myers. The Boca store was 2010, I believe-ish. Second store on Fifth Ave in Naples in 2011, I believe, or 12. And just recently, a new Palm Beach location.
Oh, so just like a steady progression.
Indeed.
I love the 2 stores I've been to, and they're just beautiful stores. Now, with the context of wedding planning, when you hear jewelry store, your first thought is engagement ring. Can you tell us like some of the trends you're seeing when guys or sometimes the couple comes in to purchase a ring?
Sure. I'd say the two strongest trends would probably be like the halo pave mounting for the last few years. It's an Art Deco style that's inspired by the old early 1920s stylings, which is still extremely popular and probably has had a big, call it, revival for the last maybe 10 years or so, and it's stronger than ever now. The other thing is like a 3-stone style ring is also very classic and also very popular. As far as shapes of diamonds, I'd say the Asher cut, cushion cut had been extremely trendy. They've cooled off a little bit recently. The ovals had a really strong popularity in the last 6 months. It's like the new cushion, I call it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, rounds are always very popular.
Very classic. It's funny that you mention that like 20s Gatsby style, because like weddings across the board, I feel like the vintage Gatsby style is very popular.
Yes.
Now, what are the most important things when a guy is looking for the perfect ring? Like, what does he need to consider as far as cut, clarity, carat, and color, the 4 C's? Is one thing more important than the other, especially when you're considering a budget, and you still want a nice diamond, but still need to be mindful of that?
I mean, it's really those 4 qualities are what it is, and it's all a compromise. Like I tell my clients, there's not just one that's great that's going to make it perfect. It's the 4 kind of as a whole, because you can have a flawless diamond with a bad cut, or a diamond that has a lot of color but a great cut, and that diamond that has a lot of color is going to look way more beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's really just like the compromise, of price point. Basically, like what I try to do is say to my clients, what's your range? And let me do the work and find for you the 4C compromise that's going to probably make the most sense, and then give them 2 or 3 options kind of in that price point.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because I'll go to a wedding and I'll see a huge diamond, but like just I don't like the clarity and the color, it just looks kind of dull. And then like a tiny diamond, you need sunglasses.
And they can be it's crazy
it.
because the smaller diamond can be twice the money of the big one. Literally.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
wild.
Now there are so many different styles of settings, like we talked about, the vintage to modern to traditional. What are some tips for guys wanting to get the perfect style for their fiance?
It's always good at some point prior to getting engaged to go to a jewelry store and have her try on some rings just to get some feel, or go online and look at some photos and just kind of feel them out so that you're not totally taking a shot in the dark. I think that's always helpful.
Perfect. And do you offer custom designs?
Yes, we specialize in that actually. We have basically 3 custom jewelers that we work with around the country that make these perfect rings. From a picture, from a photo, from a sketch, from a wax,
awesome.
From a drawing, start to finish. As I say, farm to table, basically.
Nice. Now, of course, when you get closer to the wedding, you search for the wedding bands. As far as style and fit, what are some tips, and then what are the more durable bands for the guys?
As far as man's bands, I mean, there's been quite a movement with like titanium and like the tungsten. I'm not personally a big fan of those. I prefer like a more precious metal, like a platinum or like a white gold, yellow gold. Even palladium's a nice compromise recently. That's become somewhat popular. Just because like on the ones that are like tungsten, titanium, ceramic, if you ever like got hurt and your finger swells up, it's really hard to cut them off,
yeah.
believe it or not. So that can become a whole issue. And aside from that, just like the look of them and like the durability is just not quite the same. The brilliance and the sheen from platinum or white gold. And I'm a more classic person in general, so I kind of gear towards that.
Now, which material scratches less? Like, 'cause I know my husband, like his band, like it got all scratched up. He actually got a new one.
It's kind of tricky because there's scratching, and then there's a hardness, and there's a durability, which is a combination of both. The most durable band's going to be a platinum band.
Okay.
Of course, white gold's like a more like malleable type of metal, so it's going to bend more easily, which is easier to kind of work with, but it can also go out around kind of quicker. But as long as you're not like in the woods for weeks at a time digging, and you should be okay.
Okay. All right. So the couple's gotten engaged. They're preparing for their wedding. What are the most popular accessories that you've seen for brides and grooms for the actual day? Like, do you offer engraving services if someone wants to personalize their wedding rings, or like what are like as far as bracelets, necklaces? Like, what do you find the most popular for brides?
As far as as far as engraving goes, we have this new beautiful like wedding band line called Ferrajaco that makes these like Swiss-made bands, and they do all the engraving, all hand engraved. They can do like a thumbprint to put on the inside of the ring, and really neat things. Really, all kinds of fonts and scripts. I mean, it's really incredible.
Very unique.
So that's very special, obviously. As far as the other trends for like guys, watches and cufflinks are the two things that, as far as groom's gifts or as far as for the groom to wear. As far as brides, it's very common to go with pearls because of the wedding. It's classic. But bracelets or like a necklace, a drop necklace, stud earrings are always very popular as well.
All right, going back to the watch and the cufflinks, that is the most popular gift I've seen for grooms, either from his bride or parents, or
absolutely,
whatever. So, for those of you who've never seen Provident's watch collection, it's the Dream Factory, is what you call it, right? I mean, like, oh my gosh, I walked through it coming in here, and it's just like it's mind blowing. Definitely take your fiance in here. What are some tips you can give the ladies when searching for a new watch as a gift? Because there's so many styles.
Sure, it's kind of similar to the ring, talk as far as feeling them out for, do they like a more classic, like a diver, a pilot style, on a bracelet, on a strap, face size, like a larger, more kind of like a masculine, or more classic and dressy, steel, gold. So there's a lot of different things to look at.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little bit of trial by fire, but you just get it. And if you like something, like the odds are that like your spouse will probably like it as well, because you are kind of on the same wave, sort of like the same like wavelength and in the same space.
Yeah,
so it's common if your wife or fiance likes something that you'll like it too.
Yeah, I know. I saw on your Instagram you have a watch. I swear it looks like a Formula One race car, only it's a watch. Like it's like a piece of art.
We get some wild pieces from from a few thousand to a few 100,000 and the whole gamut. So we do run the whole space.
Now, do your couples ever come back and tell you their proposal story? What's some advice you could give to the guys wanting to plan the perfect proposal?
It's a good question. They do come back quite a bit because we stay in contact with our clients. We've done things where we like set up nights where if they go to like a fancy place, we'll send like a bottle of champagne from Provident and other complimentary things. We have some relationships with some of like the local spots, and we can set up private dinners and all kinds of neat things. And as far as stories or something interesting, the best one that I heard was a good friend of mine got engaged in Central Park, and he took his wife on a scavenger hunt. Which was one clue to the next, which I thought was really interesting and really romantic.
Yeah, very, a lot of different details from your relationship. Now, can you remind everyone again, how many locations do you have in South Florida and where those located so people can visit?
Sure. We have 6 stores in South Florida, or 7 now, actually. We have one on Clematis Street. It's in West Palm Beach, one in Jupiter. It's on Indiantown Road. We have 2 on 5th Avenue in Naples, one in Fort Myers on Tamiami Trail, and one in the Exchange in Boca, and one in Worth Avenue now in Palm Beach as well, which is more of a buying operation.
Awesome. All right, seriously, you guys, when you're looking for your rings, come in here. You walk in and the whole store is just sparkly, and then you can sit and have a drink in their Dream Factory. Seth, thanks so much for helping us and helping the guys pick out those rings today. Really appreciate it.
That's my absolute pleasure.
All right, have a great day, everyone.